Greetings again, and once again, to each and all. Whoever cares and dares to listen, and whoever wonders if you may have some role to play in the great design of things. The great design of things that can only be revealed to you accurately and adequately from the Gnostic point of view. So here I am, the Gnostic teacher, recording on July. Tell me what month it is, please. July 19th, 2018. I'm sitting all by me lonesome in the recording studio of Guyanim Radio. And I'm here to tell you about some events pertaining to the ongoing development of the Charlotte working. Now, this is a solo recording. Some of you may know that I swore off doing solo recordings. I really don't care to do them anymore. But I'm making an exception here to brief you upon, as I said, some current developments regarding the Charlotte working. And upon reflection over the last day or so, I've come to the conclusion that I am compelled to make an exception to my own rule, or make an exception to my promise to myself that I wouldn't do any more solo recordings. Having said that, however, I want to advise you of what I have said about future material coming from JLL. If you want text and talks from me, you have to come to me to get it. I'm not coming to you and laying it in your lap in the way I've done for so many years. Now, of course, obviously, that's what I'm doing right now, right? But no, if you want to follow me in the future, then you have to join the mailing list that's indicated in the description to be notified of where to find any upcoming uploads, talks, whatever. Also, I want to remind you that NEMATA, the Sophianic School of Arts and Sciences, is still in development. It's an enormous task of organization. The infrastructure is pretty impressive. The selection of the content for the beta launch is still underway, and I've put that date forward to sometime early in September. If you're on that mailing list, you will be informed when NEMATA is launched. Also, I'd like to point out that in this talk I'm going to refer to a Facebook group page called Calico War Party. Now, obviously, I'm posting this talk on the Mandela Effect Decoded site or channel. However, I am referring you to the KWP Facebook page, and I will be discussing some particular material on that page. You get me? I want to say that I'm posting or uploading this talk, as I've done so many times before, on that channel, Mandela Effect Decoded. Doing so, I'm going to be ruthlessly honest with you and tell you how I feel about it all and what I think and how I see it. And that is like this. As far as I'm concerned, Mandela Effect Decoded, the YouTube channel, that I use to present the Gnostic investigation of the Mandela effect is a dead zone. It's dead in the water. There's no activity on that site. The subs leveled out at, I don't know what it is, you can go look, 3,320 or something, and just froze. There's nothing happening on Mandela effect. Decoded. Why not? Well, obviously not, because the author and creator of the site is not presenting new material. And anyone can tell you that the life and activity of a YouTube channel depends on frequent uploads, doesn't it? Depends on keeping the subs current and always coming back to them with new material. But I'm not spoon feeding you like that anymore, so you can forget it. I'm putting this talk on that channel because there's nowhere else to put it. I need to comment on certain current events. And also I have another motive. So I'm going to start out by stating to you what my motive is, and then I will go on to the pertinent material. How about that? You think you can play along with that? Okay. So here it goes. What I'm doing in this talk is something I've never done before, and I'm never going to do again. So this is a one-time shot, and if you'd like to be involved with it, then that's your choice. What I'm doing is I'm going to ask you, I am asking you, to go to a YouTube channel and post in my behalf. Now, please be clear that I am not asking, or you damn well better be clear, no please is involved. I'm not asking you to go do some kind of mass assault on another YouTuber. I'm not setting you out like a pack of dogs on somebody. Not at all. I'm asking if you might consider participating in an inquiry. This inquiry is relevant to the past, present, and future of the Mandela effect. So let me just take a moment to explain how. The YouTube channel in question is called Quantum of Conscience. It's run by a young dude called Matt, who is by all accounts an honest and amiable person. I believe he used to be called Texas Shrugged. He might be coming somewhere out of Texas, out of Austin. He might be, I don't know, coming from a Christian agenda. Trouble, as I've often noted with people on the internet and everywhere in the media today, written form, in the printed form, and in the video and audio forms, the problem is you never know what people's agenda is because they're not transparent about that. But I must say that this gent at Quantum of Conscience appears to be relatively transparent. He presents himself as a seeker, like the rest of us, a member of the Truth Core, as I call it. And he often states his intention, which is just to be another guy who's trying to put the great puzzle together. He has some pieces of the puzzle. And over the time that I've observed his channel, which is a few years now, he has dedicated a fair amount of talk and analysis to the Mandela effect. If I recall correctly, and if I read him correctly, he presents himself as someone who considers the effect to be genuine. He doesn't claim to have a full-blown explanation of it. He knows that it has produced a significant degree of psychological malaise and mental, let's just say, mental torment of a sort for those who are caught in the Mandela effect without the option to penetrate to its origin or to its purpose. And on a couple of occasions he's said, probably more than a couple, he's said that he's just there to help people deal with the difficulty that might be induced in their minds and in their lives due to this immensely perplexing phenomenon. And so the connection between quantum of conscience and Mandela effect decoded is obvious. Both sites are concerned with the Mandela effect. Now it happens that a week or 10 days ago, a talk came up on Matt's channel referring to Max Igan, or Igan. I think it's Egan, I-G-A-N. Now I've met Max Egan. He in fact came to Spain. I had the occasion to meet him down in Andalusia. And he also featured me as an interview on his channel, The Crow House, or his YouTube channel corresponding to The Crow House, which I think is a website. So, a week or 10 days ago, I saw in my subscriptions that Quantum of Conscience had uploaded a talk about Max Egan. And the occasion for that talk was that Max Egan had been invited to present a talk on the TED platform, or TEDx, I don't know. So Matt, the author and creator of Quantum of Conscience, was talking about that event, which I believe Max declined. I believe he declined to do a TED talk. So at that time, using this channel as an opportunity, as a way to post on the internet, I posted a comment which went sort of like this. Well, did you know that Max Egan is a colleague of someone called John Lamb Lash? That Max had done an interview with John, which caused a lot of controversy, such that Max, for the first time ever, had to shut down the comments on his channel. And did you know as well that this character called John Lamb Lash is known to be the sole individual who has claimed to present a comprehensive solution to the Mandela effect? And if you look on his channel, you'll see a long series of talks explaining the origin, the MO or modus operandi, and the purpose of the Mandela effect in great detail, with a tremendous amount of background documentation. And do you, Matt, happen to know about this channel? Now, if you know about this channel, how come you've never referred to it? Are you stonewalling John Lamb Lash? Or are you simply unaware of the fact that such a channel exists and that Lash, presenting himself as the Gnostic teacher, has loaded it with a tremendous amount of material elucidating the Mandela effect? So I just posed that question. I'm paraphrasing and embellishing a little bit the post that went into the comments section on that talk about 10 days ago. Now, I guess it's been a couple of times since then, and I just checked in to see if Matt had responded to my comment or anyone else had made a comment on my comment, and there was no activity. And today, I noticed that there is an upload on Quantum of Conscience with the Mandela effect in the title, discussing the Mandela effect. Map changes, I believe, in the position of South America relative to North America, that sort of thing. Well, in fact, there have been, since I posted my comment, there have been 2 uploads on the Mandela effect. This being the second one, the one that I noticed today. And as I was looking at the channel, I noticed that I wanted to go back again and look at the post concerning Max Egan to see if anyone had responded to my comment, which was polite, civil, not aggressive. And I found to my surprise that there are only 14 videos listed on that channel, Quantum of Conscience. Now I'm certain that there were at least 200 videos on that channel. But as I look at the channel today, correct me if I'm wrong, I see only 14 videos. As if there were only 14 videos that had been uploaded on Quantum of Conscience. And it just so happens that the cutoff point is just at the point of that talk referring to Max Egan. So I could not access my comment, therefore I could not copy my comment out of the comments section and put it in the description for this talk so that you could read what I actually wrote. Well, I thought, well, that's kind of odd. Here's a channel that has got a long backload of talks. Suddenly they're no longer available on the channel. And my comment, the talk containing my comment, is one that was missing. I also noted something else. Now don't think I'm paranoid, because I'm not. And don't think, well, you can think anything you fucking want, but I guarantee you I'm not making this up or giving this point now importance because it appears to point to me. But there was a talk, I can't remember which one because I didn't listen to it all, that Matt uploaded since I posted my comment inquiring if he knew anything about the Gnostic investigation of the Mandela effect. A talk that he uploaded in which he said, oh, well, I'm just a guy who's trying to get to the truth like everyone else, and I have a piece of the puzzle, but I don't pretend to have the whole solution. I was struck by that remark, and I was struck by, it raised in my mind the question, well, why would he make that remark? Is there somebody out there who claims to have the whole solution? Has somebody come across his screen whom he would view as having the pretense of presenting the whole solution? Who might that be? So there's a passing reference that could be a reference to yours truly, but I'm not going to be paranoid about it. I'm not going to say, he was alluding to me. I can easily accept that he wasn't alluding to me at all. He was just stating his credo, which is that everyone has a piece of the big puzzle, but no one has the solution to the entire puzzle. Well, those of you who've been listening to me for some years will know that truth on a planetary scale doesn't come out in that way. I said somewhere, I think it was in the GNE, that when it comes to truth on the planetary scale, you do not merely have one piece of the solution. You do not merely carry one piece of the jigsaw. You do not merely carry one clue. You know the entire solution, and you work out what is your role in it. So I've said that, and I'm sure that people can I've said it better before. I'm paraphrasing myself. Bear with me, please. I've said that, and I stand by that. And obviously, what Matt is saying, whether he's got me in mind or not, is a counterpoint to that. Now, this is what I would invite you to do. Go to that channel, look at the latest upload, which concerns the Mandela effect, and post a comment that refers to Mandela effect decoded. And just ask him, hey, what's going on? Matt, you're a voice, a significant voice, let's say an authentic voice on the internet. You often make a point of being authentic, not like people who pop up overnight and have 150,000, 250,000 subs. You're just a homegrown channel. Okay. But if you have been dedicated to the investigation of the Mandela effect, and if you represent yourself as someone who would advise others or orient others to that phenomenon, then how is it that you've never referred to John Lamb Lash? Is it something that you missed? Do you know about it, and are you stonewalling it? Would you care to comment? Would you care to offer to your subs and to the internet world at large your evaluation, your impression of the Gnostic investigation coming from JLL, the self-proclaimed Gnostic teacher? Those are valid questions. Those are simple, direct, honest, and congenial questions. I don't want anybody attacking this dude or in any way insulting him or accusing him of deliberately ignoring me and things of that sort. So I'm inviting some of you who may be inclined just to comment on his channel, ask him a few questions, such as I've outlined here, and point him in the direction of Mandela Effect Decoded. And then let's see what happens. All right, fine. Now, having said that, taken already 20 minutes in this talk, I do take a while to get to the point. I feel it would be a good moment to add my opinion of what's going on with the Mandela effect. As far as I can tell, the Mandela effect is a dead horse. Now, maybe there are people who are still beating this dead horse. There are channels who are still producing new Mandela effects or commenting on the repertoire of those that have been recorded, which are said to run into the hundreds and hundreds. I don't know. I'm not following it anymore. Has anyone gone on Google search trends and looked at Mandela effect? I haven't, but I'm pretty sure if I looked, you would, if I looked or you looked, we would find that it's been flatlining for quite a while now. I indicated in October of 2017 that the Mandela effect would phase out in its first manifestation and would shift into a different mode of operation. And I spoke extensively about how that would happen. And I verified the second phase of the Mandela effect, if you want to call it that. Of course, it's no longer the Mandela effect. It's the correction effect. The correction of the aeons of fire is manifesting and revealing itself through this phenomenon. So I indicated at length and explained at length in October, November of last year how the aeons of fire, the plenary sovereign intelligence that produced the Mandela effect in its original and identifiable form, was shifting to another mode of operation. She hacked into the internet. She hacked into the human field of the exopsyche through the internet by using the power of the third attention. And I explained that in the second phase, she can be seen to use the power of the second attention in a different way. So, that's all there, that's on record. It's all on the channel, isn't it? Now, as far as I'm concerned, anybody who's been following the first form, the first, let's say, manifestation of the Mandela effect, indicated by the 15 or so categories that I described in the investigation, who's still following that is just lost in the sauce. Really. They have been lost in the dust, and the roadrunner is way, way down the road and way around the bend. But those of you who follow me can be current with the actions and intentions of the Aunt Sophia as she deploys the third attention into the zone of the human exopsyche. So, what's she doing lately? I haven't commented for a while, have I? The last you heard from me, I was conducting the Charlotte working. January, February, March, and into April of this year, 2018. When I completed the Charlotte working, I began to bring out a series of instructions in using the Shakti Cluster app. I've given 2 talks, and there are 3 more planned. Actually, there are probably even more than that, but there are 3 more definitely planned. And as I've said, and I advise you again, heed my words, I'm not bringing it to you on a silver platter. You've got to come to me to get it. So when those talks are released, I will announce it through the mailing list, as indicated in the description. But right now, because of certain events that are broken in just the last day or so, I'm going to talk to you about the future development of the Charlotte working. The first thing I want to tell you is, you can be assured from the agent of that working, you can be assured on the word of the human sorcerer who conducted that working, that the magic of the Charlotte working is far from over. Now, it is a fact, as far as we know, if you can believe the media, that the TI of the Charlotte working hasn't gone down yet. The TI hasn't gone down in the way prescribed in the protocols of the ritual. Correct? Well, yes, that appears to be the case. There have been no reports in the mainstream news that would indicate the demise of the TI in the manner prescribed by the ritual. I know that you would like to see that. Some of you would like to see that. From time to time, I think of this term. It's a term I believe that you use in business, or it's a term that you use in registration of patents, and it's called proof of concept. Well, those of you who follow me, who trust me, and I don't ask anyone to trust me on faith, but who trust me on the content of what I produce and the quality and character of what I produce, sure, you want proof of concept, don't you? You want to see the TI go down. So do I. But let me assure you of this. There is much more at play in the Charlotte working than you can humanly imagine. And whether or not the TI goes down does not ultimately determine the success or failure of the Charlotte working. Needless to say, if the TI does go down, and I myself have strong confidence that will ultimately happen, well, that would be pretty fucking sensational, wouldn't it? Nevertheless, I strongly advise you to bear in mind that the success of the Charlotte working cannot be determined solely on that factor alone. I ask you to recall the term tensegrity. Tensegrity is a key term in the Neo-Toltec sorcery of Carlos Castaneda, and it's carried over into planetary Tantra. I spoke at some length about tensegrity in the course of the Charlotte working. I explained that there is a 72-hour period each month when the tensegrity of the web of life is at a point of critical stress. That is called the lunar increment. It corresponds to the 72-hour period when the moon is in conjunction with Saturn with an orb of 18 degrees, coming to the exact conjunction and 18 degrees after the conjunction. You will recall, and future generations will review this fact in meticulous detail. I assure you they will. Future generations will review and recall how the Charlotte working was executed, and that the three key moments of the Charlotte working occurred in the lunar increment. Tensegrity refers to something that has been called by another term, a phenomenon that has been designated the butterfly effect. Now, there's a genre of science used to be called chaos physics. I believe it's called complexity theory today. Complexity theory also might be called emergence theory. There are various names attached to it. But in this genre, you had the startling and astonishing notion of the butterfly effect. So it was said that the flutter of the wings of a butterfly in the Amazon, of a single butterfly, could produce a massive weather front somewhere else in the world, right? Many examples of the butterfly effect. Charlotte working utilizes and optimizes the butterfly effect in a way that has never ever been attempted before. In fact, the Charlotte working attempts to focus human intention into a morphic field that propagates through the atmosphere of the earth in the manner of the butterfly effect. So that single ritual cording performed somewhere in the wild mountains of an obscure little magical land located between Portugal and France was the trigger of a massive butterfly effect. That is to say, a massive enchainment or concatenation of events in the symbiotic web of the planet. The overall effect of the Charlotte working is much greater than the specific designated effect. And the overall effect does not require the specific designated effect to succeed, for it to succeed. Remember, I said in the notes I provided on the tracking page for the Charlotte working that this is an attempt at Gaian tantric magic. It's just an attempt. Who is going to sit back and judge? Has this attempt failed? Has this attempt succeeded? Well, no one can judge that unless they are able to expand their mind to encompass the magnitude of what's being done here. And I don't know anybody who can do that right now, not even me. Okay? But of course you are wondering, well, what the fuck is happening with the Charlotte working? Tell us, John, give us a clue. Well, I'll give you my intuitive clue, my intuitive guesswork, and then I'll go to what I consider to be currently the proof that the Charlotte working is succeeding. What I can tell you from my intuitive guesswork is that the Aeon of Fire, who has received the human intention of the Charlotte working, is playing that intention out orchestrally through a vast field of connections. She's taking our intention as formulated in the ritual of January 2018 and extrapolating and expanding it massively through a web of circumstances. From the point of view of the PSI, the Aeonic Mother, who has agency, the ritual of the Charlotte working is simply an occasion for her to exercise her agency on her scale. On her scale. And in her view of what is currently happening on Earth in the battle between the Romais and the enemies of life. I can assure you that the Aeon Sophia does not merely view the Charlotte working as a singular one-pointed event with the intention to take down the TI. Certainly, she knows the importance of proof of concept for the human animal. Certainly she knows how momentous it would be to see the TI go down in the manner prescribed in the ritual. But I'm guessing that she uses the occasion of the Charlotte working, she uses that vibration introduced into her life web by that ritual to play her intention and to orchestrate her purposes through a vast scheme of threads in the life web. What do I mean by this rather arcane and Baroque syntax? I mean that you can look for effects of the Charlotte working in the wider web of world events and contemporary events, and not necessarily or exclusively in those events that are related to the TI. I'll give you one example. I considered a while ago that it might be possible that the Aeon Sophia was signaling to the Rome her recognition of the Charlotte working and her recognition of the intent of those in planetary Tantra, the Kalikas and the Kalika War Party, signaling back to her magical children through a tweet coming from the President of the United States. I did actually consider this. What was that tweet? Well, it was a ridiculous and juvenile display coming from the President, which is not untypical, a really stupid, juvenile outburst against Assad, the president of Syria. Now, as you know, Syria has held fast. Syria has not gone down. For those of us in planetary Tantra, the triumph of Syria and the presentation of the sovereign power of that nation is an indication of correction. Syria is the heartland of the mysteries. Remember Lydia of Damascus. Who is Lydia of Damascus? Think about that. Damascus, capital of Syria. Syria has not gone down. Yet, those globalist predators who are run by Juno who continue to scream and wail and lament and threaten Syria. And in this ridiculous tweet, the President of the United States expressed himself in juvenile and deplorable language, and he referred to Assad as the gas-killing animal. I mean, what kind of fucking English is that? What kind of teenage inanity is that phrase? The gas-killing animal. And the three words were capitalized. So you have gas, capitalized, followed by killing animal. And these three words are embedded in a message purported to be composed and sent by the President of the United States, if you can believe that. But remember that in the second phase of the correction effect, after October 2017, you read the effect in the language of the news, in the language of, and the names and the terms and the references to things stated in the mainstream news and to things that are actually said and done. And you scrutinize with great care the manner in which the Aeon Sophia is actually signaling through these spectral forms, signaling through the words and actions of the zombified, archontic freaks who run the social order. Now, what do I read in these three words, capitalized words? Gas-killing animal? Well, first of all, in the word gas, I read a reference to the Holocaust narrative. You know, gas can be hot air, and the Holocaust narrative can be gas. And gas is one of the plot factors in the Holocaust narrative, isn't it? And when you go and investigate the Holocaust narrative, you find that these accusations of gassing prove, in the first place, to have no verifiable foundation. They prove, in the second place, to be physically impossible. They prove, in the third place, to be confused and contradictory. Well, what kind of gas was it? Was it carbon monoxide from cars, burning petrol, ordinary gasoline? Was it diesel carbon emission, which in fact is not lethal and has a tremendous amount of oxygen in it? Was it gas from dissolution of Cyclone B tablets, the gas that was used in the gassing chambers to fumigate clothes to kill lice as a caution against typhus? What kind of gas was it? Also, I have you bear in mind that the word gas relates very closely to the word Zeus, and it refers to the largest gaseous planet in the solar system, which is Jupiter. And as you know, if you follow the Mandela effect, well, Jupiter is Stellate. So there you have, in the presidential tweet, subtextual allusions to Stellate, the partner of Sophia in correction and in the design of the human genome, and also to the Holocaust narrative. And you may recall that the juxtaposition of the Ford and VWV logos in the Mandela effect points directly to the Holocaust narrative, doesn't it? And to white genocide, doesn't it? So you have, in the official version of the history of World War II, you have a clear-cut case of accusatory inversion. That is to say, one certain party accusing another party of doing to them what they are in fact doing to that party. That is white genocide, genocide of the German people, which is on record as a verifiable and documented program underway as I speak. Now, what about killing animal? Imagine calling Bashar al-Assad, the president of a sovereign country who refuses to go under to the Rothschild banking system, which is a ploy for communism, because capitalism, a certain kind of capitalism, investment banking, central banking capitalism, is the tool of you-know-who to drive the world into a communist system. Okay? So there is Assad, who has refused to succumb to this system, refused to be taken down, claimed back his country, and he's called a killing animal, capital K, capital A. Okay? Well, what is or who is the killing animal? What have I told you about Tomega Therion? What have I told you about Gnostic sabotage in the book of Revelation? Who is the killing animal? Well, it's the great beast, isn't it? And if you go and you read Revelation line by line, verbatim, you don't have to decode it or decipher it. It says that the lesser beast, who is the handler of the great beast, of the power of the planetary animal mother, creates an icon of her power, a magical sigil, a tool of magic. And with that tool of magic, the lesser beast, who is like unto a lamb with two horns, commands the killing power of the greater beast. It says explicitly in the book of Revelation that the icon of the great beast shall be used to kill. The great beast, the planetary animal mother, the Aeon Sophia, who is your divine mother who designed you, your divine mother who designed you, has immense killing power that she confers to her magical children, those who care and dare to accept it. Well, folks, what can I say? That's all background. That's all been done. That's all been said and done by yours truly. And what I'm going to say now is my best shot at proof of concept. I received a message a day ago linked to an article about a book that's coming out in September. And the title of this book is Lethal White. Now, this book is one of a series, and apparently it's kind of a detective series, like the books of Sherlock Holmes. In other words, it's a book that supposedly demonstrates the use of the probative faculty. Well, isn't that interesting that the author of this series, or the presumed author, is bringing out a set of books as entertainment based on the demonstration of the probative faculty. Oh, really? Is that so? And isn't it so that in the previous set of books from this author, you were supposedly entertained, or supposed to be entertained, by a demonstration of magic? So what an author, what a genius, what a prolific, creative writer can write a world-famous series of books demonstrating how magic works. And what's she doing now? Oh, it's writing a series of books about exercising your probative faculty, just in case you need some entertainment. And the hero of this series of books is called C.B. Strike. So if you put together the title of the book, Lethal White, and the hero, the protagonist of the book, who is some kind of detective, C.B. Strike, then you have embedded in the subtext the proximity of the two words lethal strike. And it gets better. Oh yeah, it gets even better right off. And I'm not even going to go that far into it, because I don't want to talk for more than 5 or 6 minutes more right now. The first initials in the name of the protagonist are CB. Remember the rule I proposed in the investigation of the Mandela effect? Namely, watch your homonyms. Homonyms are words that sound alike but have different meanings. I also proposed to watch your phonemes. Well, C is a phoneme, B is a phoneme, and CB is a strong combination. But what do you get from CB? What is CB? Have you ever heard that abbreviation before? What is the first thing that comes to mind with the abbreviation CB? Well, to my mind, it refers to Citizen Band, or CB radio. So in the subtext of the name of the protagonist of the novel called Lethal White, you see encoded a reference to Citizen Band radio, or what used to be called ham or amateur radio. Now, what happens if you play a little tiny little bit of tipsy-toed, light-footed, mythophrenic fugue on citizen band amateur radio. Where do you go? Well, look at the Shakti cluster. Look at channel 16. What is channel 16? It's the intercom, read in, read out band for everyone who uses the Shakti cluster. Channel 16 is the CB of the magical icon of the planetary animal mother. And I'm not kidding. And I'm not pretending. The difference between John Lam Lash talking to you right now and those who are writing and composing this series of books is that they're pretending, and I'm not pretending. I'm not pretending that channel 16 in the Shakti cluster is the intercom for telepathic communication and coordination of every single person on this planet who chooses to be involved with the autogenic magic of planetary tantra. I'm not pretending that. I'm not feeding you make-believe. I'm giving you the instrument to do it. And I'm not pretending who is the handler of the great beast. And what is the power of the handler? I'm demonstrating to you who the handler is. But the handler is not one single person. Every individual who uses the Shakti Cluster app correctly is handling the power of the great beast. And you're not pretending. It's not make-believe. Nevertheless, due to this remarkable phenomenon, which I called, on the one hand, apposition, and which may also be called anti-mimon, counter-mimicry, and which may also be called funny house archontic mirroring. Well, due to this bizarre phenomenon, that which you are learning to do for real in magic has its archontic phony counterpart that you are required to recognize. And yet, what is happening right here, right now, today, in the middle of your lives, is that the power of the Aeonic Mother is even breaking through that phony system of archontic deceit. So the technique to which I invite you is really, really sophisticated. I told you from the beginning, I deal from the top of the deck. I bring you in to Gnostic intel and Gnostic technique at the top of its form, and I ask you to see if you can hang on and stay there with me. When you can perceive how these archontic, deceitful strategies and operations in the outer world, such as the 7 spells of the TI, and now the ongoing series of detective novels, when you can see how those mechanisms of archontic deceit are actually being subverted and used as a way to signal back to you the real magic that you're performing, I don't know what more I can say. That's getting damn close to the highest possible gift that I could confer on you as my students and accomplices. Finally, I'll just add, because it just hit 1 minute, and I don't want to elaborate further, although I could well do so. I'll add the detail that just might put a little tingle in your day. The release date of this novel, Lethal White, with its protagonist named Strike, is the 18th of September 2018. Now, if you write that date in the European designation, you put the month in the middle. So it's 18/9/18. If you write it in the American notation, you put the month first. So it's 9/18/18. Is that correct? Either way, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? Also, I'm informed by someone in PT who follows the celestial intel very closely that the 18th of September 2018 falls in the lunar increment. 18/9/18. Just picture it. There it is. Could it be any more obvious? Not only the number of total nodes in the Shakti cluster doubled and broadcast twice, as consistent with the mirroring attention. Everything is mirrored, 18 mirrored to 18, but 9 central to the 218 is, of course, half of 18. So you double 9 to get 18, you double the 18s. Are you paying attention? Where is this signal coming from? What is signaling to you who are prepared and trained to recognize the signals coming in? What is signaling to you through the naming of the events connected to this particular phenomenon, the release of a novel? So I leave you with those thoughts. I don't want to ramble on at length. And until the next time, let me sign off in a way that will be familiar to some of you. May your attention be rewarded by the truth.